Hello, amazing human beings. I am so excited to be here with you today. We are together the day after the inauguration, and what an amazing day. I felt so inspired by our president's speech. I felt so inspired by so many parts of the inauguration. And I especially felt super inspired by a poet, Amanda Gorman, and she just had such a beautiful poem. She is the youngest poet ever invited to an inauguration to actually perform. And she was just really inspiring. And I loved her story. So I did a little bit of research on her. She has a really inspiring story. She's super young, 22 years old. She actually shared in one of her interviews that when she was younger, she felt like she was weird. And she was okay with being weird. And I love that because I feel like that all ties into this week, which is No Name Calling Week. No Name Calling Week is really our opportunity to take this week to embrace weirdness, right? To embrace quirkiness. That's okay if you are unique. It's okay if there's something which you may consider to be different about you. That is beautiful, and that is beautiful about you. And that we need to, as every person here, embrace that in ourselves and embrace that in others, and making sure that we use words that are kind to uplift each other. I want to share some of her. Actually, I want to share the poem that she read during the inauguration. I'm going to share that with you now because she was just so inspiring.
Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. In the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is hours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny Black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens. But one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
What a powerful, powerful way of being. She spoke about let love become our legacy. And her ending is so amazing. And that is what you want. You want love to be your legacy. When you come from a place of love, people know that. And people are attracted to that love, right? People want to be surrounded by that love. And then in turn, they give love. You want to be a person of love. Her ending said, there's always light. If only you were brave enough to see it. If only you were brave enough to be it. Make sure you become that light for yourself and for others. Have an amazing day.